Hello, everybody. How many of you, and if you could turn on your cameras, that's great. I get it if you can't, but if we could interact a little bit, that would be awesome. How many of you have ever heard me before or saw me speak? So I've got one. So I'll start by giving you a flavor for who I am and what I'm all about. But what this is all about is for us to get the most out of this session. So what I'm hoping is that as I'm speaking, anytime I say something that you go, "Ooh, that's a good idea," or "Ooh, I'm going to try that," or "Oh, I just like that phrase," whatever it might be, I want you to write them down, and we're going to call them aha moments. And the person with the most aha moments at the end, I'm actually going to send a prize to. All right. Because this is about getting the most out of today. So, not for a long introduction, but for a short one, I never thought I'd be doing what I'm doing. My dad, my hero, who passed away 27 years ago as a double amputee, gave me three pieces of advice as a little girl. Follow your passion, don't count on your husband for your money, and if you can, be your own boss. I don't know what you would have done. I took the advice and I figured I should be a doctor. I went through all the pre-med classes up at Penn State, only to realize I'm squeamish and I would have made a god-awful doctor. Finished with a psychology degree. You kind of have to go on for your PhD. Ended up getting my MBA in marketing over at Temple. I really never thought I'd have a sales career. I thought it would be marketing, but I just said, oh, I'll just do sales for a little bit just so I could understand it. This was in 1986. Sold telephone systems for 2.5 years. Wasn't successful right from the start, but finally figured out how to do sales. Then went over to ADP. Anybody familiar with ADP here? The payroll company. So basically worked my way from sales to sales management to running a 40-person sales force right in Fort Washington here, 4 managers working for me. And it was in the 90s that I realized my passion and my forte is if it's an individual, a team, or a company, if they're not performing and not hitting their numbers, how can I help them hit their numbers? And if they're just average, can I make them good? And if they're good, can I make them great? And if they're great, can I turn them into a superstar? Because I think in life, it's all about being the best version of ourselves. And I say this to my kids all the time. All we could do is the best we could do, but we better do the best we could do. Right? So if I'm going to have one shot at it, I want to give it my all. And that's what today's presentation is all about. But I'll just continue with my little story for a second. After 12 years at ADP, 12 years of weekly quotas, I decided to go out on my own. Formed Peskin Associates. It was a lie because there was no S, it was just me. But now I'm helping companies from the outside. In 2005, I got to train all the way in China, and I met a guy from Procter & Gamble on my flight over, and he said, Lisa, if you could do anything in this world, what would you want to do? I had a 14-hour flight, a lot of time to come up with my answer. I landed. I said, I'm doing exactly what I want to be doing. And I don't know that many people in this world that could say they're doing exactly what they want to be doing. Took on a partner in 2010, rebranded as Business Development University. She has since moved on. I've got a small boutique company. There's around 8 of us. We do sales training, coaching, consulting, a lot of one-on-one work with solopreneurs, non-selling professionals. But the whole key to what we do is it's all about numbers. And for all of you, this whole discussion today is about numbers. So at the end of the day, whether you're a solopreneur, whether you're a non-selling professional, lawyer, accountant, architect, engineer, consultant, or whether you're in sales, whatever it is, at the end of the day, we get measured by our numbers. And so today we're going to talk about having a little game plan for getting there. Are we good so far, everybody? For those people I could see? Okay. All right. So the other thing is, and some of you may know this and some of you may not know this, but during COVID, I wrote this book. It's a sales success workbook. And this will be one of the prizes if you do have a lot of aha moments at the end. It's done in a workbook fashion. I may end up showing a couple of these pages, but It's kind of everything I ever learned in sales in my 38 plus years, even though there's some things I need to add. And the last thing before we get started, does anybody know what my lemon's about? Well, a lot of people might think this is about making lemonade out of lemons because I'm a little bright and cheery and I can find positives in every negative. Hey, I figured if my dad didn't complain with what he dealt with, I don't have too much to complain about. But no, squeeze the lemon is different. And all of you know how to squeeze the lemon. And I'll tell you why. Because it's 8:16 and instead of sleeping in late or checking your emails or whatever you decide to be part of today, squeeze the lemon is how do we get the most juice out of our lives? How do we make the most out of every day? How do we make the most out of every interaction? How do we make the most of everything that we do? So an example of squeeze the lemon in our personal life is I hit the microwave for 5 minutes. What can I do in that 5 minutes? Or I'm walking up the stairs. What can I pick up? Or I'm going from where I live in Upper Dublin down to the city. Who else can I meet while I'm in the city? Or my favorite is if a client says, oh my gosh, Lisa, I can't thank you enough. We've been up 30% for the past 2 years and we couldn't have done it without BDU. Squeeze the lemon might be, oh my gosh, thank you so much for what you just said. Can I ask you the biggest favor in the whole wide world? What? Could you put what you just said into a LinkedIn recommendation? That would mean the world to me. And please, if you're not linked in with me, link in and check out some of my LinkedIn recommendations. I can't write them, right? But I collect them based upon squeezing the lemon, or it could be asking for referral or asking for another piece of business. It could be anything like that. And so the two words that go along with my lemon is let's be purposeful in everything we do. Let's not just do activity for activity's sake. Let's do activity with a purpose. So for instance, activity with a purpose. Let's say you don't know Bernie and you're sitting here on this call and you go, oh, I've been meaning to get in touch with Bernie. I'd love to have a one-on-one. You squeeze the lemon could be just chatting Bernie and saying, great to see you, Bernie. I'd love to, set up a time to get together. That could be like one little extra drop of juice that you get out of today's meeting. The corresponding word to purposeful would be accomplishment. So I could be purposeful, but accomplish bupkis. Do you guys know what bupkis means? Zero, right? So let me give you an example. And my husband knows I tell this story, so I'm not speaking behind his back. Midlife crisis, what does a man sometimes do? Buys two motorcycles. The heavier motorcycle falls over. My husband goes to pick it up. He hurts his shoulder. He's also a little frugal. So we have leaves in our backyard. He doesn't want me to pay somebody to pick up the leaves. So he goes to me one Saturday morning, Lise, let's go outside and get the leaves up. So I get the tarp, I go back where there's a concentration of trees, like a crazy woman, I'm filling up my tarp, bringing it to the front of the house, sweating profusely. And I look over at my husband and he's picking one leaf at a time off of the pool cover. So we were both purposeful, but I accomplished a lot. Now, why am I telling you this story? Because it's exactly what we're going to be talking about today. When we think about it, for all of you, I want you to think about what you do every day. You do certain activities, and then you get certain results. Activities, results. When it comes to a game plan, it's really just figuring out what activities do I need to do and what results do I need to get from those activities. Does this make sense to everybody so far? And a lot of what I'm going to say is common sense today, but common sense isn't always so common, right? So I need a volunteer. And it's not very hard. I'm going to ask you some rhetorical questions. Who's going to volunteer for me? Just take yourself off mute if you're willing to volunteer.
Sure.
Michael.
Oh,
All right, I got Michael first. Thank you. So, Michael, first of all, tell me what is your business? ESOP Strategies, SES.
Yeah, we put together transactions to create employee-owned companies.
Love it. Okay,
So
perfect.
business, sale, and succession.
Fabulous. Love it. Okay. So, Michael, have you been on an all expense paid vacation anywhere in the world for free recently?
No, no, unfortunately.
So let's just say I'm going to send you somewhere. And you can take whoever you want, and don't worry about things back home because I'm going to take care of that too. Where would you go?
Bali.
Oh, I've never been to Bali. All right, so let's all go to Bali with Michael. So you're sitting there, and Michael, it's towards the end of the day. There's beaches, right?
Mhm.
You're on a
Yeah.
beach. I just got you and whoever some massages, and now the sun is starting to set. The sky is turning all these beautiful colors, and now I'm going to have your favorite hors d'oeuvres, pigs in the blanket, some knishes, whatever you want, and some drinks served to you. All right. Now, the only problem is we can't leave your business alone for 3 months, can we? Nope. So guess what we're going to do? We're going to stick your identical twin brother in your spot for the next 3 months. He's got your same smarts, your same background, your same experience. In fact, he's got everything that you've got, except for he can't do one thing. He cannot think for himself. So, what would you have your identical twin brother do for the next 3 months so you could stay in Bali? Now, I said to you, it's a rhetorical question, so I'm not going to make you answer that. But I want us all to think along those lines right now. What would we tell our identical twin brother or sister to do in the next 3 months? Because guess what? That's your little game plan right there. If you tell your identical twin brother or sister to do these activities, and out of these activities have these corresponding results, now you've got yourself the beginning of a game plan. Does that make sense to everybody? And by the way, anybody right now have that where you can hand me your next 30, 60, 90-day game plan? So if we come out of this meeting with the way to look at it, and I'll even share some tools with you guys, wouldn't that be like awesome sauce? Like to have like a little game plan. Because anybody here like football? Take yourself off mute if you like football. Oh, Michael, you like football again. Okay. Michael, do you know of any professional football coach other than Rich Kotite that would come into the game without a game plan? No, right? Like they all have like, Andy Reid's was color coded, right? But
My stomach's still churning over Rich Kotite, but that's okay.
I just opened all the stores. But think about it. Whether you're working for somebody else or working for yourself, if I have a choice between someone that's winging it every day and somebody that's got a well-defined game plan, who's picking the one that's winging it, right? And so many of us do wing it. We check our voicemails, we check our emails, we see our schedule for the day, and then we kind of wing it from there. Time is our most valuable resource, bar none. Time is our most valuable resource, bar none. And if we work a 50-hour work week, we've got 3,000 minutes a week to allocate. And if I gave you $3,000 this week and said, whatever you don't spend, you lose, you're spending $3,000 this week, next week, and the next week, right? Well, we've got to cherish those minutes and figure out how they should be allocated. Where are we getting our best bang for the buck? And what are the key activities we should be doing to get the results that we need? Does this make sense to everybody? Good. So this is all a numbers game. It's just a numbers game. It's an equation. So we start with how much money do I want to make this year, right? And if I was there in person, I'd be walking across the room, but I'm going to walk across your screen now. So how much money do I want to make? Well, what do I need to get in revenue in order to make that amount of money? Because I have expenses, right? And then I've got my repeat business. So for any accountants out there or lawyers that are on retainers, it's just business that you can kind of count on, right? And then we've got the next category of how am I going to penetrate my existing clients or customers? How am I going to upsell them and cross-sell them? Can I do more for them? Or can I find other contacts within that same company or firm that I might be able to help out, right? That's the second category. And then once I subtract out what I think I can do there, we got the repeat, we've got the upsell and cross-sell. I know how much net new business I need to have or net new clients. Make sense to everybody so far? That key number is how many new clients do I need to have every year? That is a very important number, okay? So now I'm going to share, and hopefully this, and I'm willing to share this with all of you, okay? So does anybody want to volunteer for this activity? It would include you sharing your numbers, but you would get your game plan done. Does anybody want to do that? Let me just take you off share for a second. Does anybody want to do this or have me do this for them?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Dennis, thank you. Hi, Dennis.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well. Dennis, can you tell me what you do?
I own a software company that helps firms with workflow. So they usually have some kind of operating system, some kind of accounting system, all that stuff in the middle that we help bridge those gaps.
Fabulous. Dennis, if I do ask you something you don't feel comfortable sharing, just say, Lisa, I don't feel comfortable sharing that. And I'll
Okay.
just, because I'm going to ask you some numbers. Okay.
Okay.
So can everybody see this? Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So basically on the left-hand side, this is the categories of what we're going to be doing. Okay. So we've got our active customers. We might have some old customers. You don't work with distributors, do you?
No.
Okay. I was cutting and pasting somebody else's game plan. So we're going to take this out. Okay. You do some networking.
Yes.
Do you have a top list of target companies you want to do business with?
It's more by category than it is by company.
Okay. Okay, then we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Any other efforts? And then we get down to the results.
Okay.
So here I was at number of new customers you want each year. Okay. Dennis, we're going to go through a quick exercise. I like sports, obviously. I've already talked to you about a couple different sports, but in terms of your business and the annual revenue per customer or client, we have our singles, we have our doubles, we have our triples, we've got our home runs, and we've got our grand salamis, right?
Yep.
So what would a single be to you? Anything less than what?
In revenue for a year?
Annual revenue.
Singles would be less than, let's say 5,000.
Perfect. Okay. And
Actually, say 500. Say 500. That's good. Yeah, let's go.
Oh, okay, fine.
Yeah.
Doubles?
Doubles would be less than 2,000.
No, it'd be 500 to what? 2,000?
5 to 2,000. Yeah.
Fabulous. And then a triple would be?
2,000 to about 4,000.
Okay.
And then home runs are greater than 4,000.
Well.
4,000. Say 4,000 to about 6,000. And grand slams then would be greater than 6,000.
Thank you. Good job. You were able to do that pretty easily. And Dennis, you're gonna shoot me over your email so I can send this to you when we're done, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Perfect. All right. So now, does your fiscal year and your annual year
Yeah. Mhm.
sync? Okay.
Yeah.
So what is your annual goal for this year?
In total revenue or
Yep, total revenue, not for what you make, just total revenue for the company.
let's say revenue will be about 1.5 million.
Fabulous. Now, do you want to do this in terms of we're starting in January and come up with your annual goal there, or
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah.
we'll do it that way. So what can you count on as far as repeat business each year?
Repeat because most of businesses repeat, so it's going to be about 1.3 is repeat.
Fabulous. Can you upsell and cross-sell your customers? Can you find other contacts within the company, or is there more to sell to existing customers? Oh, that was supposed to be a 3.
Yes.
So what might you do in upsell and cross-sell?
So up cross sell would be, let's say in this case, would be about, let's say 50,000, and that'll give us
150, right?
yeah. Let's do 150.
In net new business, right?
Correct.
All right. By the way, if anybody has any questions while we're doing this, just take yourself off mute and speak up, okay? All right. So now this was a key thing for us to know, right? And all of us should know this. What your repeat business is, upsell and cross-sell, net new. So now, do you know how many new customers you brought in last year? Brand new?
Last year, this is gonna be a swag. I can pull it up, but we've run in about 6.
Okay. So if we took 6 and we just looked at the average, right? So if I take 150 divided by 6, so you had a couple, do you remember what the revenue is for those 6 customers last year?
One of them,
Approximately.
yeah, one of them was about 75,000, and one was 40,000.
Okay, so there's an aha moment here. Anybody know what this aha moment is? And speak up if you know. Because this is a huge star on everybody's pieces of paper today.
I would say his grand slam is way larger than he reported it, right? I mean,
Well, that's one thing, certainly, Bernie. But the other thing is, if we get a couple of these heavy hitters, triples, home runs, grand slams, and you have 2 that are off the chart here, we might want to modify these numbers, Dennis.
You know, and I'm sitting there thinking the number I gave you, that was per month, so that I told you incorrectly. So that
Oh, so all these were monthly numbers?
yeah, because I live in it.
All
Sorry
right,
about that.
so
Sorry.
I
it's
was gonna say
okay.
that's a lot of
Yeah.
clients.
Because I live in a world of monthly, so
All right, so now we're saying 6 times 12 is 72,000.
72. Yeah.
All right, well, people, still the same aha moment, and I'm not going to do this all right now, but you'll see
Right.
in a second. I'm just going to put monthly here so we all know.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry about that.
No, actually, that's great news, to be honest with you, Dennis, right? So here, if we have a couple of these larger ones, that makes our number so easy. And guess what? I think you could kill this number right here. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, basically what we try to do, we try to bring in a home run or a grand slam once a quarter, and then a single or doubles monthly is what we do as a company.
So a home run or grand slam once a quarter. So that's 4 heavy hitters a quarter. And then you said, and what was the ones monthly?
And then the single or doubles, we try to bring 1 to 2 of those in per month if we can.
Okay, so it's anywhere from 12 to 24
Right.
per year. Okay? So I'm gonna thank you for all this information. So now you said 12 to 24 a year. I'll just go halfway and say 18, and
Okay.
then I'll add the 4 that you said 4 heavy hitters a quarter, so that's 16, so 18 plus 16. So basically,
No, one per quarter on the heavy
1
hitter.
per quarter, so that
Yeah.
it would be
It's
18 plus 4, 22.
Correct. Mhm.
Okay, I'm just gonna fudge the numbers just for easy math here. So basically, you're saying I want 24 sales a year, right?
Mhm.
Well, that means I need 8 a quarter. I need approximately 3 per month. And I need, see, I fudged it, right?
That's fine.
But that is kind of where we're looking at. Now,
Yep.
do you know what your close ratio is, Dennis? Close ratio is how many proposals to how many sales, not how many new appointments to sales. How many do you actually quote propose to get 1 sale? Do we know your close ratio?
If I'm thinking here, because what we do demos, then we do whiteboards. Whiteboards, if once we do the whiteboard, we do proposals. If we get to a whiteboard, the success rate's about 90%.
Okay, so then go back to before
From
the
from a demo to a whiteboard, we're probably at about 50%.
So how about demo to close?
So demo to close would be about 50%.
Okay, so
Because we know we can get demos, but getting a whiteboard, not everybody's willing to sign up for the whiteboard.
this is what I might do.
So like in mine is I have a number of initial touches I try to meet, and then that's 10 per month. I try to have 4 whiteboards, or I'm sorry, 4 demos and then 2 whiteboards.
4 demos a month.
Uh-huh.
Okay, look at that. 4 demos a month times 12 is 48. You know your numbers, Dennis.
I even
Great.
chart it. So that's why when you start
Well,
numbers, I love
great
numbers.
job, by the way, because we all want this, right? Your numbers completely matched up with a 50% close ratio. And you said 90%. So demos to whiteboards, how many whiteboards do you want to have a month?
2.
Fabulous. All right, so you see, we've got the beginning of a game plan here. This is for so many touches. I want so many demos to get so many whiteboards to get so many sales. Make sense to everybody? So everybody's got to reverse engineer. You got to know your close ratio. You could easily get that by how many proposals, quotes last year's, and how many new sales did I get, right? Figure out what your singles, doubles, triples. So now going back here, one of the things that's really important for all of us is figuring out, where does the business come from, right? Like, did it come from my outreaches? Did it come from centers of influences referring me? Did it come from my customers referring me? Did it come from a speaking engagement that I did? So Dennis, have you ever done a source of business analysis?
No, that's what was intriguing when you showed this, because this is important, because I'm actually in the process of selling my business. So I would like to be able to help my client, the people that are buying this, understand this. So this is cool.
Totally. Oh, fabulous. Okay. Because I'll give you a little story. I'm going to leave out the person's name. She's an engineer. She works with 99 other engineers. After 20 years as an engineer that was responsible for business development and billable hours, she was doing fabulously. And then 1 year she started doing poorly. And so what did her company do? They cut her salary, they cut her hourly rate, and they put a tremendous amount of pressure on her. So she hired me. So we took a look at her game plan, what she was doing, and then we took a look at her results, what she was getting from those efforts. She was spending 10 hours a week networking. So we'll call it events and cups of coffee with centers of influences. And guess what she was getting out of her networking efforts? bupkis, right? Now, I'm a big proponent of Beacon and networking groups. This is just one individual. So here I said, okay, tell me about your business. And she started telling me that she gets leads for other things other than medical devices, which is her specialty. And she gives them to all the other engineers within the company. I said, well, what are they giving back to? Bupkis. So we switched our efforts, took those 10 hours and redirected them to go and meet with all the other engineers she's been giving business to all these years. And she started exercising her ass muscle. That's a Marsha O'Connor thing. I didn't come up with that. And she started asking for business. And all of a sudden, within 3 months, her salary was reinstated, her hourly rate was reinstated, and the pressure was off because she focused on doing the activities that she could actually get results from. Does that make sense to everybody?
Mhm.
Sometimes we're just doing activity for activity's sake. Back in my ADP days, you guys are going to have an OI in a moment. And OI is a, oh my gosh, okay? But we were responsible for generating 5 to 7 net new appointments, going on 5 to 7 net new appointments, hitting 10 CPAs, hitting 10 customers, going to 5 bankers, knocking on 25 doors, and doing 2-hour blitzes where we called over 100 companies. And if we did that, we were successful. But sometimes some of the reps, they would just do activity for activity's sake, check, 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 and got bupkis out of their efforts. So if you don't remember anything about Lisa Peskin and the way I look at things, if you're doing an activity, what are all the results we want to get from those activities? So now we're going to talk about something that I think is extremely important, Dennis. Do you have other salespeople, or is it pretty much just you?
I have 1099s under me that are selling as well, and they're hitting the bupkis. So this is interesting. So they can build, but they can also sell, and they suck at it. So this is
Okay. So let's just talk about you for now. Okay.
Yep.
Do you keep in contact with your customers on a regular basis?
yes.
Okay. How many active customers do you have?
We have 87.
Oh, just approximately, right? Okay, 87. Let's are there some that you just talk to like on an annual basis?
Yeah, probably a third of them. So say 30 that we just touch base annually.
Okay, and by the way, another star on everybody's piece of paper, make sure you're having this kind of meeting with your customers, a blue sky meeting where it's not necessarily a task at hand, but it's something like quarterly review, semi-annual review, annual review, right? High level meetings, put that as a star on your piece of paper. And then on my website under resources, there's a client visit checklist. There's so many things we could get from a interaction with a customer. So now let's go. Are there any that are quarterly for you, Dennis?
Yeah, about 40 of them.
So look what I'm doing here. 40 quarterly is now 160 annually. Makes sense to everybody? I'm just multiplying it. So now we have 17 left. Any monthly?
Yeah, let's go weekly because I'm going to the weekly number will be smaller. So weekly there's 4,
Okay, so now down to 13.
and then there's 2 that are bi-weekly every other week.
So that's bi-week, 2 bi-weekly would be 4 monthly.
And then the rest are whatever they are.
So we're now 8, so we've got 9 that are monthly.
Yeah.
Okay, so look what I'm doing, everybody. So now if it's 9 a month, I could do this all in my head, but I just don't feel like it.
So you send me the spreadsheet, I'll automate this part for you so that you're just filling in a few and
Yeah, okay, you could do that for me. It used to be automated and I don't know what happened here. So 4 monthly is 4
48.
times 12 is 48, and for weekly
It would be 16.
4
That's right.
times 52 is
192.
200.
Okay.
Isn't it 208 or no?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay, so now that was 554 divided by 52. So you need basically 11 meetings weekly with your clients just to keep up this cadence, right?
Mhm.
So everybody, the reason I just went through that whole schmigiggle, and that's not a real word, it's just Lisa's word. But the reason why I went through that is, okay, I need 10 appointments each week. Well, I better do 2 a day to keep up with all that.
Mhm.
Now that's just the activity. Out of that, we want to either get additional contacts from different departments, additional business, or referrals, right?
Correct.
You even have LinkedIn recommendations in here. So out of all this activity, what are some of the results that you want to have?
For me, it would be, yeah, either additional work with inside their organization or referrals that they could provide to people in their network.
Okay, so how many referrals do you want a month?
From this group, I'd say 4.
Okay, one a week. I love it. Okay. And additional business, would you put that in dollars or would you put it in pieces of business?
Put it in dollars. So let's say so we want,
Well, you actually have the number down here.
yep.
Upsell and cross sell is 50,000 a year.
Yep.
So we want, guys, I am good at math. It's just, my brain's not working this morning. So, if we wanted 50,000 a year divided by 12, it's around 4,200 a month.
Okay.
All right. So you see, guys, I'm just really doing math. This is all just math equations. And Dennis is going to help me with the Excel math.
Mhm.
But you see what I'm doing? And out of all your customers, do you sometimes find additional departments, divisions, parent companies, sister companies, related companies, other contacts that you could work with?
Is that for me?
Yeah,
Oh yeah. I mean, that's where most of our business is that way.
perfect. And how many additional contacts would you like to get a month?
From this group,
Yeah,
from I'd say 12.
12 a month. So that's 3 a week. We just keep dividing it this way or multiplying it this way. But this is what we're going to hand your identical twin brother, right?
Yep.
Now, old customers. Do you have those that you're going after? And by the way, I think star on your piece of paper might be some of your best opportunities are companies that used to work with you in the past that haven't worked with you for one reason or another. So do we have any of these, Dennis?
Yes.
How many old customers?
Let's say 20.
Okay. And you'd be such a happy camper if you could have how many reach outs on a weekly basis to these old customers or monthly?
Monthly, I'd say if we could get to 2 of those a month would be great.
2 reach outs a month resulting in 1 Zoom appointment?
Yep.
Okay. And then if we had 3 a month, 3 per quarter, using your close ratio, that might be 1 new sale a quarter to that,
Correct.
like that?
Yep.
All right, what else are you doing for your efforts? What else are you doing proactively? Do you get business from centers of influences?
Yeah. So I partner with about 10 other consulting groups that we cross sell and introduce people back and forth.
All right, so this is and
And then the second, well, go ahead on that one. And then the second one, it's reverse networking. We use Sales Navigator, and there's 12 of us that get together once a month, and we identify what our criteria is, who they know, and then ask for introductions from that group as well.
so you've got, how many did you say are in the original group?
In the
In the like partners,
part or crisscross, there's 10 of us.
10. And do you just meet as a group?
Yeah, once a month we get together.
I'm probably spelling this wrong.
I know what it means. You're good.
I'm not a great speller, guys, but I was told it's a sign of intelligence. And then I figure I must be a genius since I can't spell whatsoever. Okay, so you said you have that, and then you said you had something else. What was that?
So the other one, I call it reverse networking. So we actually set criteria in Sales Navigator, and then there's 12 of us that get together once a month, and you go and you say, Lisa, no, these 4
Love
people.
it.
Will you introduce me to those 4 people?
Fabulous. And aside from that, do you meet with other centers of influences individually throughout the month?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And how many of those do you want to have on a monthly basis?
Let's say 8.
I love when it comes to neat numbers. Look, 2 a week, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now, and out of all these efforts here,
Mm-hmm.
how many referrals are you looking to get?
I'm doing my math in my head. So 4, I'd say 8 referrals a month.
All right. Now, you said you've got categories of companies you go after.
Mhm.
But there's no such thing as a list of the companies that you would like to get.
It happens more when I do that reverse networking when I get in there, but I mean, it's we try to go after people that are in the field service type, so any type of construction, interior design, architect engineering, and move management are 4 big ones that we go after.
So these are actually the
And
ones
so,
that
to your point, so to your point, I mean, we eventually research and pull them up, but I don't have a list just at my fingertips. It depends on what we're focused on that month.
all right. So, but you, I believe you said at one point, I like to do X number of reach outs to prospects on a
Correct.
weekly and monthly basis. What was
Correct.
that number?
I try to meet 10 new people that I've never met before each month.
And are those prospects or no?
They could be. I mean, it's a combination of it could be expanding my network and it could be prospecting. So,
All right. How about if
yeah.
I just said prospects?
Yeah, that's fine.
How
'Cause
how many prospects?
10, because everybody's a prospect.
Okay. So guys, I'm going to stop sharing for a moment just because I see who has any questions about the activity that the activity that we just went through with Dennis? Does anybody?
The key thing is just drilling in those numbers. I love how you're doing it, and kind of starting at the top and working way backwards, or starting at the beginning and working the other way. I mean, it's a numbers game.
And guys, these are all SMART goals. So they're specific, they're measurable, they're aligned with the company, they're realistic in time. Some people have different names for, some people call it actionable, sometimes people call it achievable, but I think realistic and achievable go together. And I don't think actionable, because not all results are action oriented, some are results oriented. So if you take everything that you've got and you figure out activity, results, then you're going to know exactly what you need to do to make your number. And that's just like the key here. And so I'm going to just share with you one more thing.
Is it okay if we, I mean, in Beacon, we try to help each other. Is it okay if I challenge Dennis? Dennis, is that okay?
Yeah, that'd be great.
When you say everybody is a prospect, that raises to me a difference, a discontinuity between using the numbers and narrowing things down to how you want to spend your time. I mean, because if everybody's a prospect, that has the potential to take you into time directions that aren't going to be as fruitful as the things that you clearly know. I mean, you've got a really good sense of who your customers and your prospects are.
Yeah, I mean, for us, I mean, basically anybody that uses Excel spreadsheets is a potential client. So that's why I say everyone's a prospect. I try to do a 30-minute conversation with anybody I meet, because within that first 30 minutes, I can figure out, are they more of a referral and they can lead me somewhere, or do they really need my services? Because a lot of times I meet other consultants, they probably don't need me, but they can help me connect, or I can help them connect to other people, if that makes sense, Michael. But yeah, to your point, that is that's been the biggest. I've been doing this 13 years. Our biggest challenge has been the fact that literally we sell to lots of marketing people swear we're screwed because we're selling to anybody and everybody, because the tool is productive and helps any industry or any person do the things they need to do and get out of Excel spreadsheet help.
Well, the thing that might be useful, and I'd be glad to continue the conversation offline at some point
Yeah.
if you think that I can be
Yeah.
helpful, might be to temper it by profitability of different kinds of prospects, potential
Yeah.
profitability,
No, that'd be a good
but
point.
also something I learned from a terrible politician, a terrible low-level kind of state rep. You know, you could she was very smart in that she had to figure out very quickly whether you're the person she should be talking to or she should be moving on to the next person. And now her problem was that you could see the wheels move, and you should never see the wheels turn. But I would bet that you could figure out within 3 minutes, let's say five to be, just polite, because I don't want to, have you shove people around. But I bet in 5 minutes you could figure out whether they fit into your sort of prime prospect range or prime influencer or networker range or not. And I
Yeah.
don't think you have to spend a half hour with them.
Yeah. That'd be helpful.
So, Michael, thank you for bringing that up, because what he was basically saying is the equation's different for centers of influences and prospects, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that was a really good point. But I also like the way you think, Dennis, is that they might be just the center of influence, but they might be a prospect also. So, all right. So now I want to share. And this is the book, by the way. But basically, I just went through this whole thing with you guys, right? Annual goal, subtract out, new business, number of sales, close ratio, number of proposals, right? So this is all a numbers game. And then we fill the pipeline in a whole bunch of different ways, right? So each of us should do a source of business analysis, because that's going to tell you where you should be spending your efforts. And there's a whole bunch of different ways we could get to that decision maker, right? So each one of these could be SMART goals. I want to shoot out so many emails, send out so many letters. I want to connect with so many people on LinkedIn. I want to take my top prospect list and I want to start following them on social media. I want to go to some of their events. I want to see who they know that I could ask for common connections. I can make an introduction. I just got a new piece of business, but it started with me introducing him to somebody else. Send them a little video, send them an article or a link, attend trade shows, uncover the boards or charities that they're involved with. And I'm sure a lot of you don't do this, but a lot of my clients, like Acme Box or like the larger clients, they actually do drop-bys. But all of these could be individual actions that you might do. And this is up on the website, but this is what I call a wheel of fortune, everybody. And I drew this out a long time ago when I was waiting for Rick Elko, who is the CEO of Conestoga Bank. I don't even think that they're around anymore. But if you look at all of your efforts, you've got your marketing efforts, you've got your networking efforts, then you've got your prospecting efforts, including your clients. You could basically take each one of these spokes that applies to you and set a SMART goal around it. It's as easy as that. And then the last thing I want to say is, once you set the goals, we got to measure it, because it's not a SMART goal if you're not measuring it. It's only a SART goal. That's my sales humor, toot toot, right? But it would only be a start goal. And has anybody here ever been to Weight Watchers? Well, all I can tell you is they're cruel. They are cruel. What do they make you do? They make you get on that scale every week. So I take off my glasses, I take off all heavy jewelry, definitely my shoes. I get on the scale and they're like, either good job, Lisa, or you got to do a little bit better next week, right? So with each of these SMART goals, we got to go, we got to measure it. And I prefer it through a CRM, but if you can't do it through a CRM, just take this sheet and start using it as your little one-page tracker. And then you'll see, are the goals that you set realistic? And if you thought your close ratio was X%, but it's Y, you might have to modify some things. Who's got any questions right now for anything that I just went through? Dennis. That was so fabulous that you went through that activity. And I hope you all saw this, but Dennis knew a lot of his numbers. Like he wasn't fishing too much, right? We got to know our numbers, right? We've got to understand what applies to us. So who else would like to take a stab at this for us to talk about your particular game plan? Anybody else want to take a little stab? I understand it's putting yourself out there a lot, right? But it's important. And then there's other things that we've got to make sure we're doing. So being that, and if it's okay with you, Jess, I'm going to kind of expand upon this a little bit because I think this might be helpful for everybody. And in around 10 minutes, I'm going to stop for any questions. So this is the source of business analysis that I spoke about. And I think it's also important not only to know the number of sales, but the revenue associated with it. Because it's clear that if I'm Bryce Harper, I don't want to get up and just do a single and a double. I want to hit that grand salami or the home run, right? So where did our business come from? Did it come from our client referrals? And I have it broken down, solicited and unsolicited. We're really all great at unsolicited referrals. But how many of us are actually asking for referrals from our existing customers? That might be a star on your piece of paper. Phone prospecting, don't think about it as cold calling. If someone goes, you met someone at an event and you want to get a time on the calendar, you can pick up the phone and reach out to them. You're probably not going to do foot canvassing, but some of my clients do. Is it from networking, email campaigns, letter campaigns, social media, marketing, trade shows, speaking engagements? I get 70% of my business from client and center of influence referrals. And then I probably get 20 from different speaking engagements that I might do where people are like, oh, I want, mine done, right? So once you know the source, then you could start setting SMART goals around this. Does that make sense to everybody? And then if we have any marketing people here, it takes 8 to 10 touches to get a prospect meeting, sometimes 12. So the clients that have set up a multi-touch program, a formal multi-touch program, once you figure out what your touches are, again, you could start developing SMART goals around that. And then think about it this way. Let's just say, Dennis, that you said, I'm going to reach out to 5 a week. The first week, I'm going to do touch 1 with the first set. The second week, I'm going to do touch 2 with the first set, touch 1 with the second set, and so on and so forth. So by the end of this time, you've got 25 prospects in various different stages. I'm telling you, you establish something like this for yourself, and you're going to be amazed at how many net new appointments. And by the way, number of net new appointments are probably some of the biggest things that you want to take a look at. And then the other thing, Dennis, you were talking about, oh, go ahead, Dennis.
So for the group, I cheat because I have a person that works for me in the Philippines that actually starts the emails for me, and I'm paying her $10 an hour to do all that work. And so I have her doing the things where she's in there as me, and then when they respond, then she sends it to me, and then I can respond and that kind of stuff. So I've figured out how to kind of not automate it, but hand it off to other people.
You know what I call that, Dennis? I call it scathingly brilliant idea, right? And if you could simplify, eliminate, delegate, or outsource, right, you're going to save your time. There's only one Dennis, right? So if you could get I used to have my daughter enter things into LinkedIn, right? Like if I could pay somebody $10 an hour, I'm going to do that every day of the week, right? And then it's like identifying our ideal client. What industry? What's the titles? What are their characteristics, right? What are the characteristics of the company? I had a guy that I was working with. I'm not going to mention the company name, but he was a producer that sold employee benefits. He was at the back end of his career. So he was kind of similar age to me, right? And he hadn't gotten a brand new piece of business in 2 years. Now, the nice thing about the insurance business, you get your book of business, and some people get fat and happy on their book of business. But his company was pushing him to get net new business. So we did that source of business analysis. And this was the most interesting things. This one, decision-making characteristics. He realized he does really well with middle-aged women that are head of human resources. So specific. So when someone says, who's your ideal client? It can't be humana, right? I want to meet CEOs in manufacturing that have, not only salespeople, but distributor reps that are looking to grow their sales, right? Get it more specific. And that's just an example. So being able to identify that square peg that sometimes we try to put the square peg in the round hole. We got to find what the round peg is to go in the round hole. And if I have a choice between a prospect that's potentially a single or double, or someone that's a heavy hitter, triple home run or grand slam, I'm going to go after those, right? And then who are the roles within the decision makers? Where can I get all my prospects? And that's why I was asking you, Dennis, past clients are key. But even for a lot of us, we don't have a top 50 list. I got this guy in my network. He's amazing. He comes every time I have breakfast with him, which he makes sure is every other month. He hands me his list of top 50, and it's all crinkly and it's written all over. But he basically goes, hey, do you know of anyone in any of these companies? And I start giving him referrals, like easy peasy. So having that top 50 list to figure out who you want to go after. There's all different sources of where you could get your list from, and then you got to figure out how you're going to go after them, which is a whole other topic, right? But what I'm hoping everybody just got, figure out your identical twin, what you're going to tell that person for the next 30, 60, 90 days, specific activity goals, result goals that are in the SMART format that can actually get measured. You base it upon what's happened in your past. So you do the source of business analysis, you understand your numbers, you get the equation, and you set your goals based upon the equation. Once you've got your goals set, guess what? That's your little game plan. Any questions? So now there's just one other thing that I want to share. So Dennis, we did that as if it was January 1st, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's not. It's May 23rd. So this is what I need you all to do, is the equation changes just slightly. Now we go annual goal. Now we subtract out year-to-date number, right? Then we're gonna subtract out what we could count on for the rest of the year for our repeat business. Then we subtract out what we think we could get the rest of the year in upsell and cross-sell. Then we look at our existing pipeline and we apply our close ratio and subtract that number, and that's gonna leave you with what you gotta do by the end of the year. Now, here's my suggestion, everybody. Right now, we're May 23rd. So we literally have around 7 months left. Instead of taking your remaining number and dividing it by 7, I'm going to suggest that everybody divide it by 6. Why? You create some fudge factor. And by the way, if I could get you to your annual goal by Thanksgiving as opposed to the holidays, you can have nice holidays and you don't have to worry about it. And putting in that little fudge factor is going to be helpful for you. So do the math that way. Good?
Mhm.
All right, now I am going to ask for participation. So I asked you to count up your aha moments, and I asked you to write down your aha moments. I'm hoping if you don't feel comfortable on camera sharing or verbally sharing, which would be my favorite way for you to do that, I'd like you to type it into chat, but I'd like to go around and just tell us the one star on your piece of paper and also tell me how many aha moments so we could figure out who the winner is. So, Dennis, without you today, you made this so much easier for me by going through that exercise. So I appreciate it. I
Thank
want your address because I'm going to send you a prize just for your level of participation. But
Thank you.
can we start with you? Can you share one of your aha moments, please?
I had just the whole purpose equals accomplishment was my note.
And if you look at lemons differently and think about purposeful and accomplishment, that is fabulous. And how many aha moments did you have, Dennis?
4, 5, 6, 8.
Fabuloso. All right, Michael. Wait, you got to unmute yourself. Okay.
Yes.
And thanks for your input before, because that was very insightful. So thank you. So Michael, what's one aha moment?
8 to 12 touches to get a prospect meeting, sort of just a reminder of how there's an old saying, all things being equal, people would rather hire their friends, work with their friends. And then I add my own thing to it, which is all things not being equal, people would rather work with their friends. And you build a relationship with that. So that was terrific. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And how many aha moments did you have?
Well, Dennis did so great that I refuse to go above him. He should be the leader
All
here.
right,
So I'm going to
well-
say 7.
We'll give Michael 9. Give him 9. He had 9.
Well, he's already getting a prize, so you can tell what you really have. But Michael, thank you. Bernie, can we go to you next? What's an aha moment?
Yeah, so I think overall, I've heard a lot of this before from different sales coaches and all, but I think the main thing was it's all about the numbers, and you can really, it's all math. You can really, create a funnel and really put numbers to it, and a number of touches, number of goals, and have goals, and that would generate the end result. For me, sales has always been like this mysterious thing. Like, how can people predict sales? Like, you don't know what the other person is going to say yes or no to. But I think you can add some math to this. It's kind of fascinating for me.
Fabulous. And how many aha moments, Bernie?
I think I have 5 or 6 here. Yes.
Okay, fabulous. Then we're squeezing the lemon. Neela.
So I'm sorry, it's a little loud where I am, but I had 12 aha moments.
Ooh.
including writing down who I need to touch base with and who I need to make follow-ups with. But the biggest one I had was, you said, what do I get from my activity? And I think about it in a slightly different way. As Michael was saying, people hire who they want, like they hire people that are their friends, who they like. So what do I get from the activity is, I think about it a different way, which is, what do I get from the activity? What do I get from networking? Because I find it personally fulfilling. So because I am, and part of what I put out in sort of the world is that I want to be likable, I want to be capable, I want to be seen as likable and capable. So that's part of what I get out is the personal connection, and what hopefully I give out is that capability and likability, so that people will hire me.
I love that. We just also have to be careful because certain people are better than other people for you. And
Oh,
so
absolutely.
sometimes we do spend time with the people that aren't necessarily the best people. All right, so George Jean, is that how you?
Georgine. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, how are you?
I came in late, but I think just your whole structure, every slide was good just to get back to thinking that like this is a structured process. And everyone had its own ahas of like, yeah, I know this stuff, but and applying it in different, not just in the process of screening. There are so many carrots in there that go just with, like you said, like delegating, that were just additional things just to like reaffirm good practices.
Thank you so much. And how many aha moments in the time that you did spend with us?
I'd say at least 3 with I love that the last one that you just showed with the networking, the prospects, that will just the thinking part of it. And like I said, for me, the visuals really help because it puts things in, kind of unclutters my mind.
Fabulous. All right. So I know, Larry, are you able to share with us?
Yeah, sorry. I've been juggling a bunch of things this morning.
Okay, but you got here, so that's cool.
Yes. First of all, I'm the liaison, the board liaison to this group. So Nella, Bernie, great job bringing Lisa in. I would echo what Nella said about. Well, I would say something about what Nella said about herself, wanting to come across as capable and likable. This is what I think Beacon is all about. And Nella has definitely proved to me that she's likable and capable. So great job, Nella, and you too, Bernie. Look, I think I could say, probably aha moments every slide that you went through, each part, there was an aha moment. But I echo what I heard with a lot of the comments already. Number one, I think what Dennis said, and by the way, great job, Dennis. I give you credit for being pretty brave there to open yourself the kimono up, as they say, right? But I would say, another way, what I think Dennis's point was that you got to look at what your activities are and what's your yield coming out of that. And if it's not yielding anything, what's the point in just checking the box, as you were saying, Lisa? Also, I think what Bernie, started off with saying that, look, it's fundamentals. But we see all the time. I'm in the sports industry. You see all the time. You're looking at these games and say, why did they do that? Isn't that kind of fundamental? You lose sight of fundamentals. So that's what I constantly take away from a lot of the Beacon programs, is just reminding you some of the basic fundamentals. Lastly, I took my predictive index assessment. I don't know whether all of you have done that yet, but I realized that I skew way over to the data-driven side. So you coming across, approaching this from really data-generated, approach is definitely connects with me. So thanks so much, Lisa.
Oh, you're welcome, Larry. Thank you. And how many aha moments did you hit? More than 12 so far?
Yeah, like I said, I think every section that you went through, I got at least one out of that. So Do your math. Dennis, let's build a spreadsheet and figure out how many sections did you go through and approximately how many aha moments came out of that. We could,
And by the
calculate
way,
that.
I'm not selling this book because that's not the purpose of this book. This book was kind of like a legacy kind of thing. I am willing to give it to any of you electronically, but Dennis and the winner are going to get it hard copy. Okay. So if anybody,
I would love it. I was going to ask you whether you have something. Thank you.
so
Yes.
if
I
anybody
definitely.
wants it electronically, just shoot me an email. Okay. Lisa.peskin@businessdevelopmentu.com or on LinkedIn, and I'll get you an electronic copy. Okay.
Excellent.
And then all I'll ask is that if you do get a copy and you have some feedback for me, I'd love to hear your feedback. How's that? Is that fair enough? All right, Eleanor, hi.
Morning, good morning. I
Oh
have a
my
last.
God, your last name is my life.
Ah, a lot of us, a lot of us.
My whole life is about what am I going to eat next.
This is great. I understand totally. I'm with you.
I love your last name.
Oh, it's people still say, "Is that Neil's?" I said, "It's what you do all day long if you're me, right, Neil's." But I think it's great because it reminds us more. To me, this was a great program. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Dennis, for getting it together and participating, because I think it refreshed a lot for me. I can't say I had aha moments other than when you talked about, and some of the other participants talked about delegating. I think Dennis said he pays somebody $10 an hour. I have to remember to do that because, spread thin, you're not going to get to that specific goal that you're working on. And we're all good at that, but sometimes we don't get there, right? So I think the aha moment today was definitely, if you need to delegate, go ahead and get some more help. So that was my big
Love
one.
it, love it, love it. Thank you. So
I'm
nice.
big Phillies fan, so I'm with you. I think the team is on Harper's back, and I think our businesses are on our back. We have to do the big moments. We have to be the ones hitting the home runs if we really want to meet those goals.
And Eleanor, now that you're bringing up baseball once again, I just want to share something I think about like just about every day. So if I said someone to you was a 280 hitter over their lifetime, what would you say about that hitter, Eleanor? 280. Pretty good, right?
It's good. Yeah. We're
Yeah.
baseball.
What if I said 330? What would you say?
Give me his name.
Hall of Famer, right?
Right. Top of the list.
But let's just do some math, guys. 33 hits for every 100 at bats, 330, 28 hits for every 100 at bats, 280, 33 minus 28 is 5 out of 100 is 5%. There's really not a big difference between those of us who are average, good,
Exactly.
great superstar. And sometimes it's the little things, the dotting of the I's, the crossing of the T's, the going back to the fundamentals, increasing our close ratio, increasing the average revenue per client. These are things that if we improved upon, will have a big impact on performance.
Absolutely.
All right, I got 2 left.
Great program.
Great. And please link into me. I want to know what all of you do, and I'm going to stay around to hear more for the networking group. Cynthia, I know that you're driving, but are you able to share anything? I know that that's harder. All right. And then Kathleen, I think you might be the last one. Hi.
Hello, everyone. Very valuable. Thank you, Lisa. And nice to meet the new Beacon members. I'm a new Beacon member. Nice to meet those of you who are on. I am an accomplished marketer currently in transition. And the moment that resonated with me was your first out of the gate, squeeze more juice out of the lemon. I think there's a lot, sometimes with being in transition, you kind of one and done and you move on. But I learned earlier this week the importance of doing, like they call it, a resurrection letter. Even if you didn't get the job, staying in touch with the hiring manager. So that's an example of squeezing more juice. And in terms of aha moments, I was right around that 7, but everything you were saying definitely applies to marketing, definitely applies to being in transition. And thank you.
Oh my gosh. And Kathleen, I know a bunch of people, so don't hesitate to reach out to me. And if I could connect you some people that will be helpful for you, it would be my pure pleasure. Okay. And
Appreciate that. Thank
and
you.
that goes for all of you. So Jess, I'm gonna end with you, and then you could do, your next step. Any particular aha moment for you today?
Yes, I also just want to say that was a really wonderful and detailed and thorough presentation. I really appreciated how you were able to go through every step with a fine-tooth comb. And I think from the comments and responses that everyone really gained a lot from this. So I just wanted to really thank you. I had, I think, probably 4 or 5 aha moments. And really, my biggest takeaway was when you talked about how goals and how these things need to be measurable. And I know it's kind of a little bit funny to say that without measurable, your SMART goals are just SART goals. But I think that that is poignant for a reason, because if you can't crunch those numbers and you can't put these things into some kind of data format, you really are kind of making your way without a compass, I think. So that was my biggest takeaway.
Fabulous. Well, I gotta tell you, I so appreciate all of you taking the time with me this morning. And it's all about making the most of our lives. And I kind of believe there's an afterlife because I eat York peppermint patties and crispy French fries from my dad and Chinese food from my mom. But just in case this is our only shot at it, let's just make the most of it. Let's squeeze the lemon, get the most out of every day, every interaction, every event. And by doing that, we'll accomplish more and it will all add to your bottom line. So thank you all.
Beacon is the premier executive networking organization serving the Mid-Atlantic region. To learn more, go to beaconforlife.org.